everybody, it's Bulldog, and I've got something pretty interesting today. So I've been doing some testing on Geo Brute with some different teams, and I realized that I really wanted to know what his stats were, and how to mod him appropriately, and how modding him impacted his actual stats. So I couldn't find anything pulled from the game data or anything like that. I don't know how to do that myself, but it didn't look like anybody had done it. So I just decided to reverse engineer it through gameplay and looking at the numbers on the screen. So huge shout out to Bada Bing, who ran a lot of these tests for me so that we could find out what his stats are at maxed out G13. And I was going to kind of go through the whole process and show you the video of how I got it. Realize that, let's be honest, nobody cares about how I got it. You just want to see these numbers that are on the screen right here in front of you. And getting these base numbers were fairly easy. Some of them are kind of estimates. Things like even the speed is a little bit of an estimate. Armor resistant, his base damage. There's always some variance there, and it's hard to calculate exactly. But we came out with a pretty rough idea here of what Geo Brute actually looks like, and nothing too surprising. I think we maybe expected the protection to be a little bit higher. But then the thing that really shocked me is we did all this unmodded, and then we started adding mods to find out what impact are the mods going to have. If you want to make Brute tankier, can you mod Alpha with lots of protection? And the answer is actually no. For protection, a Geo Brute that's called by an unmodded Alpha will have the exact same protection as one that's called by an Alpha that's got 4 protection primaries. There is literally 0 impact to Brute's protection due to mods. Now, health is a little bit different. So for every 2 health you add to Alpha, you're going to get 1 health to Brute. So you can increase his health that way with mods. I don't know if that's going to be enough that you want to mod him for health now instead of protection, because you do get a little extra there. So that might be something to consider. But then as far as the rest of the stats, everything was extremely minimal. I increased Alpha's damage by 15%, and then I ran a test with looking at about 5 different attacks, and the damage increased by about 1%. So I don't know if that's just normal variance or if it did actually increase a little bit. Speed increased very slightly. Armor and resistance, again, it decreased. We increased Alpha's armor by about 15%, and again noticed about a 1 to 2% decrease in damage taken by Brute. But there's some normal variance in there. We didn't look at 100, 1,000 attacks or anything to get a really high sample size. So there might be a little bit of an impact there, but it's not significant enough that if you want to make your Brute tankier, that you should mod Alpha for defense or anything like that, because it's just not going to matter that much. So I'll show you a quick example here with speed. So here are 2 different battles we did. These are in Galactic War, and the top one is unmodded. So you can see that Brute's actually taking the very first turn of the battle. This is Brute's first turn, unmodded, and then with Alpha modded for speed. And so you can see Brute is much faster. Then we added 111 speed, I believe, to Alpha, and you can see Alpha went first. His turn meter is already gone, and this is Brute's first turn again. And look at the turn meter over on the first order side. You can see that it's virtually unchanged. There is not a lot of speed difference. If you actually look very closely, you can see that there's a very, very slight decrease in the turn meter on the bottom one. So Brute is going just a little bit faster, and the longer we let it play out, we can see it just a little bit more. But I mean, we're talking he's getting maybe 5% of Alpha speed. I don't know the exact amount. We didn't run everything in that much detail, because I could see it doesn't really matter. It's not going to be worth worrying about speed. We added 110 speed and maybe got 5 or 10 speed with Brute. I don't even think we got that much. So when you're modding it based on these stats here, you really don't have to consider the impact on Brute whatsoever. Now, one thing we could not test is things like tenacity. Brute and Alpha both have a bunch of tenacity. At least it seems that Brute has a bunch of tenacity. And in order to actually run that data, that would actually be very difficult because there's so much RNG involved. Something like Galactic War, it's hard to do in because the roles are all predetermined for a single node, so you'd have to do different nodes, and then you're going to get characters with different potency. So it's not something that would be very easy to test. It could be done, but that would be the only thing I don't know about, is if modding Alpha for tenacity would help Brute. And of course, that was actually the stat I honestly cared about the most in one of the videos I was making, which you'll see coming up. But the bottom line is that Brute's base stats are basically what they are. You're not going to change them very much. Whenever you're modding Alpha, you should only consider how you want Alpha stats adjusted. Other than maybe the health, you're not going to impact Brute's stats very much. So don't worry about him. His base stats pretty much are what they are. And what they are is honestly kind of underwhelming for a tank. So he does a great job of getting taunt. Seeing these numbers is actually going to change how I play them just a little bit, because I thought he was a better tank than this. And what I mean by that is I used to actually not taunt with Sunfac, because I would have let Brute taunt, and I wanted pretty much everything going through Brute. And the reason was I thought he was a tank just like Sunfac, and if Brute died, I could always call him back. So I wanted Brute to die before Sunfac died. And that actually might not be that great of a strategy, especially when we're damaging protection, because these Geos all share this damage. They equalize health, equalize protection. Sunfac has a lot more protection, especially if you mod him for protection. So when he takes, for example, if both of them were to take a 10,000 damage hit, that's going to be a much higher percentage of Brute's protection than it is Sunfac's protection. And when they equalize, they don't equalize based on raw numbers. They equalize based on percentages. So you want them to take the lowest percentage hit as you can. So Sunfac taking hits is going to make the team a lot more durable than it is Brute taking hits. So unless you think that a huge one-shot's going to come in that's actually going to wipe out your tank, it's actually preferable to have Sunfac taunting over Brute, or even taunting at the same time and Sunfac absorbing some of those hits. And that can actually make your Geos a little more tanky. And not a huge impact overall to gameplay, because they're a pretty good team, and they're very tanky as it is. Even without huge protection numbers from Brute, they do get the protection from Alpha's lead. They get that equally, so that doesn't have a huge impact. So nothing that's going to completely revolutionize how you play Geos, but this was some interesting data that I wanted to share with everybody. So thanks a lot for listening. As I mentioned, I'll have at least one video regarding Brute coming out here shortly. I've got all the footage, just have to put it together, hopefully tomorrow. Not sure exactly when that will be out, but there is more coming soon. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.